guys? It is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. I've got one fun song today. We're going to learn how to do No One Knows by Queens of the Stone Age. Now, Josh Homemade's got some amazing guitar stuffs in this. Guitar stuffs. Lots of cool guitar stuffs. The rhythm guitar parts in this are just sick. It's really tight and it's got so many cool little fills falling around. It's got a cool solo in it as well. So we really got our work cut out for us today. But I guarantee you, as soon as you get this underneath your fingers, it is probably going to be one of the funnest songs you ever play. It's just a lot of fun to jump into and just work your way through. But a bit of a challenge too as well. But before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already and ring the notification bell so you know when I release a new video. And if you really like what I do here on YouTube or anywhere on the internet and the interwebs, and you want to support me and you want to know the best way to support me, join my Guitar Academy. That's the best way to support me. You'll see a link to that in the description below. That's the GL365 Academy. Contains all of my guitar courses covering everything from complete beginner stuff to more advanced courses on technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone, covering rock, blues, metal, you name it. So there's a lot of stuff there. So please go check it out. You'll be supporting me the best way you can and helping keeping the YouTube channel alive and everything. So it's a great way and I hope to see you there. So let's jump into the song. Now the only bummer about this song is the tuning. It is tuned down a major third. So that's 2 whole steps. Now this is not a drop tuning. The entire guitar is tuned down to this. So hopefully you'll have a guitar that you could put down. This guitar is set up for standard and I could still get it into this tuning and halfway, you'll probably have to tune it quite a bit during this lesson. So it's not used to it. So, but it's really essential to make this song sound right. So what is that? I'll put the notes in the description, but we have this low E string is tuned down to a C. And then the A string is tuned down to an F. So it's a major third down or 2 whole steps. Everything's tuned down 2 whole steps. Then the D string tuned down to a B flat. The G string tuned down to an E flat. The B string tuned down to a G. And then the high E string tuned down to a C as well. Pretty cool. All right, now, once we're there, we can start learning. So hopefully you're there. So let's jump into this intro. All right, so we're going to start now. Josh Homemade is using some kind of unique voicings here. Just play a standard E minor chord. But what he's doing here is he's playing the 7th fret on the A, 9th on the D, and then 8th on the B. So he's muting the G string in there in the high E. So you can just hit those strings hard. If you're muting correctly, which you need to be really good at muting for this song, you're only going to hear these 3 strings. No matter what you're hitting, okay? So that's the goal here. So that's what he's starting the song with 4 hits of that. And then we get into the madness. All right, so now what's going on here? I saw the same chord as the foundation of this. So we have this, hit the low E string. I'm going to call it an E string, okay? It's not an E string now. It's a C string. But it'd be really dumb to rename all the strings just for this lesson. So if I said, oh, play the G string, you're probably going to play this one, right? But it ain't. It's the 2nd string now, so that's what I mean. It's really dumb. So let's just call them their regular names and pretend that they're not tuned down. So we have this low E string. We have this. So what's going on here is we're changing the top melody note. So we're still holding the rest of the chord under it, but first the melody note's at the 10th fret there on the B string. So you can still hold that 8 behind it, doesn't matter. But when you play this chord, you're gonna hit it with the 10th fret there on the B, and then go back down to the original chord that we were playing in the intro, and then we're now going to move the melody note over to the 9th fret on the G, which is just a standard E power chord. So when you do that, you're going to pick up your middle finger so you don't hear this. You want to hear... I'm sorry. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear that. All right, so we had this. And now after that, he'll then take it and just kind of just hold your fingers across the bottom 3 strings and then slide out. But then remember, you'll always start it back over with that E. Now this third time, there's that little thing at the end of it. Instead of going, it goes like this. It just takes that top note, bend it up and bring it down. So it is. So that was the third time through playing that riff, and then we're back playing it. So the fourth time here, we start the riff one time, and then we go back and play that, act like we're starting it over again to that 10th fret on the B, but then you go and grab some harmonics real quick. So that's the 7th fret across the D, G, and the B. So all together with all right, finally to the verse. Verse sounds like this. Now the verses are the second verse is very similar, but the orders are kind of, I'll explain when I get there. So anyway, here's the first verse. All right, so it's got some really cool stuff in it. So we're just starting here, this same E minor. So we start with the... So we're just kind of rotating with that low E, then hitting just those 3 notes of that chord, E minor chord. And then we have this. So that is just the E minor, and then the version with here with the A there, which makes it actually an E sus4, and then back to the E minor. So it's like this. All right, now after you do that, you've basically gone back and hit that E chord. Then you hit it one more time again to start that whole pattern off. And then you go between that and hitting the E again. So we have this. So you see that? So that you ended up hitting that twice. 1, 2. And then start rotating it between that and the low E. So we have this at the beginning with... Do that again. Now you're going to hear him kind of doing this little shuffle thing when he's leaving. A lot of shuffles coming up and on. So right there, even at the end, you hear this on the E minor. So you're going to it'll do this little thing. I'll talk about really that little shuffle more in this next chord, which is based off this this B7 chord. So what you want to do is you play the 7th fret on the low E, 9th on the A, 8th on the G, 10 on the B. So at first, when you hear him play this, he's really kind of hitting the low strings. He's still doing that, but he's really just hitting the lower part of the chord and then the higher part of the chord. But we have at the end that's little down, up, while he's transitioning. So he did that in the previous chord to it. And when he does that, yeah, the little upstroke can be on the open strings real quick. So it's just kind of open string, but they go by so quick you can't really hit it. Here too. Now what that is, it's a shuffle. So that dun 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 dun. So that feels like 3, like 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. So it's not down, up, down, up, down, up, 1 2 3. So it's kind of dum bump 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 boom ba boom bump. So that's like boom ba boom ba boom. Boom. Just on the quarter note for a while. Quarter, note something. All right, so that's what he's doing, and then we're gonna go to this E flat major chord. Now, when I see him play this live, it looks like he's doing. Not the full chord. But when I'm listening to the album, there might be an overdub, like multiple guitars on there, but because you can hear every note as if you're playing a full E flat major chord. So I realize he doesn't play it like this. He might be playing this or this. He might be leaving one of the notes out, and then somebody else in the band's taking care of the other note. But that full E flat major chord is there, so I'm gonna just kind of show you that. So that's just the 6th fret there on the A, and then the 8th fret on the D, G, and the B. Then the same rhythm. Is that little quarter notes? Then that little quick little shuffle at the end. So we have that. So right there, we have our first little ending. So we went back to the main riff. We're still in the first verse. He goes back to this thing. Now, it sounds really distant on the recording. He might be going, bending up from like the 8th fret on the G string up a half step to that 9. When I've seen them play it live, they don't seem to really do that. But it's really just the open B and high E string, and then the 9th fret on the G. You can just do like that. Still sounds dissonant, but, or you can totally add the dissonance by just doing kind of bending the 8th fret beneath up to that 9. Because it does have quite a dissonant quality. All right, so, and then we're back to playing the riff again. All right, so what that was the second ending to that same. So we're still in the same verse riff. So we went through the same chords thing, and then the same, and just repeating the verse riff. But the first riff was just this, and this one is this. Oh, sorry. So we are just playing just like the open E string, hammer 5 to 7 on the low E, 5 on the A, pull off 7 to 5 on the A, over to 7 on the low E. Enjoy those. Back to the main riff, and then we're back to this section again. And then we have the third ending. So that's the third ending. So we went back to that. So that's bending this 10th fret on the B string, then play the 12th fret on the high E string, and then the 9th fret on the G with some blah, blah, blah. And that's the end of the first verse finally. So the first verse real quick, let me just play through all of it. All right, then we get to the chorus. Looks like this. All right, so now this, now we're really digging into this shuffle feel here. So we're playing octaves. If you don't know what an octave is we're gonna play this, say one note here on the A string, and then we're gonna, that's the 7th fret there, and then the 9th fret on the G. So there's the same notes an octave apart. The trouble with octaves is you have to mute all the strings around it. So you can see I'm using my index finger to mute the string underneath it. I'm also using that index finger to mute the D string, which is in between the two notes I want to be heard. And it's also muting the B and the high E. So you're kind of just applying pressure to the tip, and then the rest of it's kind of lightly arcing and laying against the rest of the strings. Therefore, I can hit all 6 strings, but you only hear those 2. And you need that to be able to really kind of hit these things hard. So then from there, it's just the melody that we need to take a look at and the actual shuffle feel. So first, let's talk about the melody. Now, I'm going to be calling out the fret that the index finger's at, because the shape is going to stay the same wherever it goes. So this finger's always one, skip a string, 1 string over on the G string, and then up 2 frets. So we have this 7, 9, then 10, 9. So wait, this. And then 12, 10, then 14, 12. So I have this. Now, we're gonna hit each one of those twice with a shuffle feel. So remember, it's like down, it was like 1, 2, 3. That's how it's felt. So it's felt like a 3, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's like 1, 2. So that upstroke is really quick. All right, now from here we go to this B power chord. So what's going on there? We play the B power chord, and then you're still doing that, right? That's still shuffle feel, but when you do the upstroke, hit the open E with it. You keep the other fingers there. Or yeah, I see them do this on live. You can just open up and let the whole chord. That sounds cool too. It kind of sounds a little bit bigger. So there. All together. Repeat. All right, now the third time around, the melody changes, but everything else, the feel and everything stays the same. So the melody now, what is going to be, remember that I'm calling out the fret that the index finger's at. 10, 9, 7, 6. So octaves on the same strings, and then the same strings as before. So 10, 9, 7, 6, 7, 9, 10, 9. And then back to the same. And then the fourth time through is the same melody that we played the first two times. All right, so now coming out of that chorus, we have the same intro riff played again twice. I'm sorry, that's kind of the main riff, I just called that. All right, and now as we start the second verse, we kind of already did the first little ending, right? So we just do it from here with. So it's just like before. Here we're going to go all the way to the little hammer on pulse. So we basically a little bit different there. So we went back to the. So where before we had done that, that's not there anymore because we had already done that leading into that little transition riff into the verse. So basically, we basically went ahead into the second ending, right, which was that little, and then you saw that kind of in the intro, that main riff, and then those harmonics at the 7th fret across the D, G, and the B. So that's what happened there in verse 2. So that's the beginning of verse 2 is that. And then we go back. And there's not any fills this time. So no fills. And then we do this chord again. And then we have that same fill that ended the first verse. All right, so once again, it's something that it's really good to know. Obviously, if you're sitting here with me for this hour that's taking to teach this song, you probably love the song already and know it very well, and so that's just going to help you knowing what's going on there. But yeah, the first verse and the second verse used a lot of the same little endings, but just in a little bit different order, and they're slightly different. So it's good to just really kind of know the song, the sound of it. And then we get to the chorus again, which is the exact same as the first chorus, so nothing new to learn there. So that's good news. And then we get to the bridge. So the bridge kind of comes out of that second chorus. So that, you know, that second chorus ends with this. And then they just kind of take from that to go to the bridge, which is this. All right, more fun. So it's basically this, that we're still doing that shuffle. Except I'm playing this instead of the power chord, instead of the 7th fret, it's up at the 12th. So I have the 12th fret on the low E, 14 on the D, and the A. And then, so here, play that. You can lift up on the shuffle the open strings. It's very quick. And then we have this. So that's the power chord back here at the 7th fret off the low E, up to 8. Then over to the 6th fret of the A string, that power chord, And then back down to low E power chords, we have 7, 5, 7. All right, so after that, after you've got that, then you go back up to this E. All right, now the second time when you come down here, you're just gonna kind of repeat that little power chord riff. So remember, when you hit that 7, it starts it and ends it. So then you end up hitting it twice in a row. And then he goes and grabs this E when I see him play it live. He just, because he doesn't have to go up and do that, so he just kind of a little bit more efficient and just hits this E power chord here off the 7th fret of the A string. All right, and then we have the little quick little bass solo, and then the guitar solo comes in. So let me play through the guitar solo for you real quick, and then I'll show you how to play it note for note. So here we go. All right, so that ending of that solo is not easy at all. So let me just show you what's going on here. So we have this kind of a drone technique that he's using. He's doing the melody on the B string. So he's doing that, but as he's doing that melody, he's having the high E string that's ringing with it. So he's hitting 2 strings, and you're always keeping that high E going with it. All right, so what are the notes here on the B strings, the melody? So he's also just grab your middle finger like he does. It's easy to arc over that high E so you don't mute it out. And so you just use one finger for this melody. So it's this 5, 7, 8, 10, 12. It's going to slide up to each. All right, now from there, you're gonna go slide into 17, down to 15, up to 19, and back down to 15. And then up to 17. And then take the melody back down to the 8th fret and slide it to 12. So we have this. All right, then from there, he doesn't play much of the high E string along with it anymore. It just does it. So that's going to be. So we can start with this 12th fret on the B string, pull off to 10, slide down to 8, and then hammer back on 10. And then we have. So that's a little pattern. And then from here we go 8, hammer 10, pull off to 8, slide down to 7, and then hammer back on that 8. So wait, this. From there we have played 7, hammer on 8, pull off to 7, slide down to 5, hammer 7. So wait, this. And now you can stay where we're at, and you just do a quick little play the 7, hammer on 8, pull off to 7, off to 5, and back to that 7, and then slide that to 12. All right, so we have this all together. All right, the next phrase. All right, so this is a repeated lick that he plays 3 times. We're going to play the 9th fret on the G, 8th on the B, And then you're going to play the 12th fret on the B and bend it up a step and a half. Now you're really going to want to use your ear for this bend. If you're anything like me, when I first grabbed this, you know, a lot of us, if you've played guitar for a while, you kind of have, you know, when you get to a certain area on the guitar, a certain string, when you bend up something, when you need a whole step bend, you can kind of just do it off pretty much muscle memory, or your step and a half, or your 2-step bend, or a half-step bend, or whatever. So now if you do that now, because I've tuned my guitar down a major third and the string tension is a lot less, it's really easy to take that sharp. You know, at least I was. So you got to really kind of just pay attention. When it gets to that minor third up, which is that 15th fret. All right, so that's what he's doing there. He does it like 3 times. All right, and there, this thing ends with something that's going to tie your fingers into knots. All right, so yeah, this is not easy. So a lot of sliding going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the, I've seen some people play this online that it's just, maybe they just don't want to do it like him. It's almost impossible. But anyway, it feels impossible in the beginning, then it gets easier. So just gotta get your head around it. So anyway, we have this 14th fret on the high E string, slide down to 12. So these are all slides. So pick 14, slide down to 12 on the high E. Now you're gonna want to use your ring finger for that, because then on the B string, you're gonna use your middle finger. You're going to play the 12th fret on the B, slide up to 15. So we have this. Then on the G string, you're going to use your index finger. You're going to play 14 and slide down to 12. So that's like, it's a 6-note lick. And then he repeats it 4 times. Of course, he does it at like breakneck speed. It's tricky to kind of just visually see all that stuff sliding around. So anyway, you do that 4 times, and then you end it with this unison bend, which is the 12th fret on the high E string, and you're gonna bend the 15th fret on the B string into that, so they match. It's really quick. All right, so that's pretty much it for all the new stuff. We go back into this. There's a little kind of quiet section here, and it goes back really into the verse sections again, so there's not anything new. I will mention though, right before he starts singing again, it's one of those things, this kind of things that I kind of geek out on, this little, he does, right before he goes, he hits this little, hits those things, and what he's doing, that little sound you're hearing is up around the headstock. So past the nut where you have the strings here and they're really tight, just take his pick, just hit like a little upstroke there. That's what's going on in the recording, and little things like that are kind of fun to me. Anyway, so from there though, it's just the normal verse, you know, nothing new that you haven't seen before. And then the end of the song is just those 5 hits. So we had 4 hits that started with this E minor chord, 5 hits at the end. And that is it. So it is a fun song to play. Trust me, as soon as you get this thing down, it's just really fun to jam out. The only bummer is getting your guitar in this tuning. And then from there, you know, it's more fun than a barrel of monkeys. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.